today, Cabinet will discuss the options available on how to handle the arrest warrant issued by International Criminal Court for Russian President Vladimir Putin. For more on this, we bring our international news editor, Sophie Mokoena. Sophie, good morning. Thank you so much for making time for us. Speak to us about this meeting that was taking place at the United Nations Habitat Assembly.
Well, yes, indeed, we're coming live from Kibera, the informal settlement here in Kenya. You know that the Kibera slums, as they call it, here in Nairobi, it's one of the biggest informal settlements around the world. You've been here, Aldrin. You know the situation here is quite dire. We came here because we wanted to speak to ordinary people who live in these areas. As you know that currently the conference is discussing how to address the challenges facing people who are living in areas such as this. And therefore we took a decision to come here at Kibera to speak to ordinary people. We spoke to many people here. I think if I can ask my colleague here, Luther, just to pen and show you the area itself, it's quite a terrible situation in relation to living conditions. And therefore, we expect those who have participated or who will still be participating at the conference to come up with solutions, because you can't have a situation where on the continent we still have people living in such conditions. We spoke to many people here. They are trying to survive. On the other hand, we have a situation where they are now having to deal with a decision by the government here in Kenya to increase tax. And when we were speaking to small businesses, they were saying that they are really squeezed and they don't know how are they going to survive. When they spoke about buying food, just to have food on their table, it's quite a challenging task. But also those in the taxi industry also saying that the cost of fuel is very high, and with the new introduction of increasing tax, you are going to have a serious problem. Those levies are going to affect the little profits that they are able to collect so that they can survive. You can see it's a hustle and bustle, but this is Kibera, the biggest informal settlement in the world, not only on the continent.
Sure. And tell us, Sophie, about the meeting that is taking place with BRICS member states ahead of the BRICS summit that will be taking place in South Africa in August. And also one of the contentious issues, of course, being the warrant of arrest that has been issued against the president of Russia, Vladimir Putin. We understand that Cabinet in South Africa is set to meet and discuss some of the options that are available to them.
Yes, you know, Aldrin, that on the margins of any international conference, you have different groups or different countries engaging in bilateral or in relation to different regions. And therefore, yesterday, member states of the BRICS nations did meet. They were discussing issues of informal settlement and ensuring that you have a better living condition for citizens of those countries. But of course, of interest was to hear the tone of these countries on issues that are related to the BRICS summit that is supposed to take place in South Africa. As you know, that currently there's a concern that one member country, the head of state, President Vladimir Putin, is facing a warrant of arrest that was issued by the International Criminal Court. Now, South Africa, being a signatory to the Rome Statute, will have to cooperate with the court should President Vladimir Putin come to South Africa. And it's something that's not possible. This is a sitting head of state, and also you know that South Africa has been vocal in saying that they are for a non-aligned stand because they want to play a role in bringing the two countries together so that you can find a solution that will lead to cessation of hostilities and finally to a peace process. And therefore, to today, the Deputy President of the Republic, Paul Mashatile, who was tasked by President Cyril Ramaphosa to look at options in terms of dealing with this issue, will be tabling a report in terms of options. You know that many people have spoken about different options that South Africa has. You either move the conference or the summit to another country, you hold it virtual, or you ask President Putin not to attend, and it is not possible. I was told that China in particular, President Xi Jinping, is clear and very firm that this meeting must take place in South Africa. He is ready to come to South Africa. And other member countries, yesterday you could sense a similar tone, that they are firm that that meeting must take place in South Africa, will take place in South Africa, and they don't want to say much around the issue of President Vladimir Putin. So I think all journalists internationally are looking at what's going to happen to Parliament, to the cabinet meeting. But we know that President Cyril Ramaphosa yesterday made a promise and a commitment that he will take a final decision, and he will communicate the final decision in terms of how they are going to handle this matter. And we are waiting to hear from the South African head of state, President Cyril Ramaphosa.